to today's podcast. I am Misha, and I'm here with my very good friend, Devon Doyle. Say hi, Devon.
Hello, everyone. Hey, what's up?
So glad to just to have you come on tonight, dude. I know we've been wanting to do this for a very long time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, definitely. So before we get started, I just wanted to talk to you a bit about like how you got inspired to like get started into doing this, and kind of where all that like started from.
Like, started just in general with videography, filmmaking
Yeah,
stuff, or into, I guess, this corner of media to begin with.
kind of like talking about both subjects. Yeah.
All right. Well, I essentially, like, as far back as I can remember, I was kind of the awkward person in high school and all that stuff. But I always liked playing someone else. So I I started taking like little theater classes in high school at the time, and especially in my senior year, I like focused on one of those, and I worked behind the stage. When if I auditioned and if I got something that's good, if I didn't get anything, I would try to you know like work for the techies, they called them at that time.
Yeah.
To work behind the stage because I liked helping people put on the show at the same time. So that's kind
Yeah.
of a hint as to what I would go on to do.
Yeah, and I didn't know that you did I didn't know you did like stage things as well.
Also at Lynchburg and a little bit at UNCW as well too. Though at UNCW, University of North Carolina, there
Okay.
is more of an emphasis on film stuff there because they've got Screen Gem Studios and Frank Capra history there and all that stuff. So
Wow. Wow. Seems like you went to a very prestigious school.
pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the first thing I really wanted to ask you tonight, Devin, was like, how did you, or just that, like, can you tell us how you first got started into like doing freelance, like video and post-production work for people?
Let's see. This would have been like several years ago. Well, first I want to start with I guess what happened before I found like a niche with all the freelance stuff. I found. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, there was like an independent kind of action movie that was being made at the time in Richmond City, and I tried out for it. And I think there was a time when the director almost considered me to play the antagonist in the movie when he saw my like an audition tape that I sent in and everything like that. But there was a guy I met there who was a sound engineer and a DP, and I kind of considered him like an unofficial mentor of mine. And he taught me a lot about what to do and not do on sets and how you prepare and how you set up a shot or lights or what's important to have ready and those were some great times too, and I learned a lot from him in addition to what I'd already learned from Lynchburg and UNCW.
That's
Yeah.
great, and I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah, and I I've loved, I guess, the challenge of trying to put together like a story visually like that, or even just some kind of narrative thing. My brother and I, when we were younger, we got, I don't know if you remember this, but it was that Steven Spielberg Lego playset
I I think I know which one you're talking about.
where it's the camera and the dinosaur, and it comes with software that you install in those old PCs and stuff.
Yeah.
So Sean and I made like we had recently seen Lethal Weapon, and we made one called Lethal Brick or something like that. Just
Cool.
crazy random stuff, and we also liked like recording like a cartoon on the TV with like one of our dad's old video cameras and then trying to edit it in the camera to be crazy and weird and something different that was what intended, which in a way that's editing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, was that like stop motion, or were you just like filming them like in real time?
Oh, for the Steven Spielberg Lego set one, that did require stop motion, and of course, when you're, I don't know, 9 or 10 doing this, your hand shows up sometimes when you move the action figure, take a frame, move
Yeah.
it, take a frame. So we did that. It does have the option to record video on that old Lego camera, but you would do the stop motion to get sort of the best effect of it, the sort of the illusion of motion. But
Yeah,
I remember
definitely.
we blew up a bank, um, and we recorded the video of that for like a little chase scene we did.
Cool.
So yeah, that's just fun stuff.
So is that like on YouTube for people to see, or was that just like something that you shot a long time ago?
Oh, that was shot a long time ago. It's probably lost to time when my
Yeah.
when my dad got rid of that old PC, and
Mm-hmm.
we discovered new technologies and stuff as we were going
Cool,
into the
cool.
internet.
Well, I just wanted to say that I've known Devin for a long time, and he's seen a lot of my projects I've done over the years. I've seen a lot of what he does over the years, and just said we've always kind of like been following each other. I do want to bring up your photography and videography company, um, with your wife. I was hoping you could talk more about that.
Yeah, definitely. My wife and I like married in 2020. I didn't expect to get married in the middle of a pandemic, but
Yeah.
sometimes these things just kind of happen.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got essentially very lucky, finding her and all that stuff. And she is kind of an artist. She paints. She's made costumes before and does stage makeup.
Oh, cool.
Um, and also was passionate about photography and even had somewhat of an older Canon camera. But I
Yeah.
really liked the images that you could get from that. And when her and I took this trip early on, she let me or like we both tested out her. I guess now it would be her old Canon camera, and it got really good still footage. And I remember her and I were on the fishing pier that I used to work at. Like, believe it or not, I used to work at a fishing pier. I'm glad I'm not there anymore. But when I was in North Carolina, I worked there, and we were there touring it and getting some good landscape and photos of seagulls and sandcastles and things like that.
Cool.
And
Um, but like,
yeah.
can you tell us more about like how you and her started your clientele company together?
Yeah, we had this idea to both work together. It's something that she wanted to do, and she floated the idea to me, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Because she knows I'm passionate about editing, post production, and videography. And during the pandemic in 2020, I bought DaVinci Resolve Studio, and I taught it to myself over a period of several months to get good at it.
Yeah, and
And
it's so
uh,
interesting you bring that up. I was talking to the last guest I had on last week, and I think he brought up DaVinci Resolve too. That seems to
yeah.
be everyone's like new favorite piece of editing software. And it's really hard to learn. So,
Mhm. It was a little challenging at first. I remember trying out the free version and with all the nodes and stuff. Like I had come originally from Final Cut Pro and
mhm.
Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and she even like being an adjunct professor, she has access to Premiere Pro,
Okay.
but I don't really use Premiere Pro anymore that much. But it
Okay.
was a great tool for a while, and I still do have Final Cut, and Final Cut is a good, sturdy bit of software too with some good recent updates. I guess it's not called Final Cut Pro 10 or X anymore.
Oh, okay. So they changed it?
Yeah. Yeah, so now it's technically Final Cut Pro 11,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. I will need to check that out today. I had no idea that they did that. Um,
Mhm.
But I kind of wanted to talk to you a bit more about your editing software. Just so like, do you strictly use DaVinci, or sometimes you would use Final Cut, or do you use both?
I do use both. Um, Predominantly DaVinci Resolve Studio because I really have gotten to like it a lot. It does seem like it's kind of become this go-to
Yeah.
software for a lot of creators, especially on YouTube, where
Mm-hmm.
I've seen, we've all seen like the thumbnail of a YouTube content creator and they're holding the DaVinci Resolve logo in their hand, like they masked it in
Oh
their
yeah,
hand,
yeah.
and they're pointing to it, and it's like the top 10 new features that you gotta check out right now in Resolve,
Yeah.
or it's the list of like you have to know these 5 things if you want to get good at resolve or color grading and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And it seems like
um
you enjoy the color grading process a lot.
um I do, even though it's important to, I guess, not go too far with it, go too crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like a little bit of it can go a long way. So like in terms of, it's kind of similar to acting too. It's like less is more.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how that stuff normally is. And so, I'll probably make a video talking more about that topic for people, because it is very it's very interesting, and kind of like what you said, you don't want to add a whole lot when you're trying to color grade a project or a film. It's about more so about less is more. So, um, but my next question is, what kind of clientele projects do you typically take on, and how do you balance those with like your own like film projects?
Oh, yeah. Um, my wife started a profile um, on the app called Thumbtack. Have you ever heard of that?
I think I have, yes.
Yeah. So she started that, and then we found a lot of some good reviews for a company, like a software called Pixie Set, where you can create your own website
Yeah.
to reach clients and to have them book to you. She started it, and we both started putting photographs on it. Got plenty of photographs, especially of like our baby and everything. And we I provided video clips to share on the website too. So we both started this. She did a lot of the heavy lifting in creating the Thumbtack account and seeing that people are able to see it, and even putting like ads in Google and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I've been someone who's very invaluable.
Yeah. So like, what jobs do you and her perform? So does she more so like find the clientele and kind of talk to them, and then you like film it, or is it kind of vice versa there?
Uh, Essentially, we will Thumbtack will send us a lead for someone, and if we want to, if you want to know more about it, you I think you pay a bit more for it, or if it's not a huge lead or something like that, you don't have to pay anything, and you can just kind of look for possible people that are looking for what you offer, like a service like that,
Okay.
and like a message will pop up saying, you know, Jane Doe needs photos taken of her wedding or getting ready for her wedding on this day at this place and at this time. And if you want to message them, send the message through Thumbtack.
Okay. Um, and I'll need to check that out. I definitely have heard about it. I just need to know more about how it operates, and so I might check that out too. For those of you in the chat, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna put Devon's link to one of his films he made called Sugar Crash. I'm gonna drop that here for people to check out. Um, but yeah, my next question is like, when it comes to shooting weddings in particular, what's your approach to doing that? Because I know those are like very demanding shoots, and that you really need to be like on your mark doing that.
Yeah, because in a lot of times when it comes to doing a wedding, like sometimes the client they only want photos, or they want photos and video, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then they detail what they want. They send it to us. We look at what we can do about it, or what we can do and make it come to life. And you only get, of course, the one shot, the chance, like for the like a first look, or when the bride walks down the aisle, and that first kiss. You got to be ready,
Yeah.
you know.
So like I can imagine those would be pretty stressful too. How do you manage that?
Mm. Um, it's you sort of want to um do like a pattern where you keep track of where each person is, and you almost want to make it like that you and the other individual, in case her, we're like looking at the client, the subject, like an X pattern. So where we're not in each other's way, or we don't worry about walking in the background or stuff like something like that.
Okay.
And you got to be ready with like she recently got a new Canon camera, and it's like really fast and can do capture things in C log. Also, although she sometimes will also, if she's not taking photos right away, will take video and send it to me later on, and then I gotta put it into a different group and grade it using C log 3 is what it's called for Canon.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm just wondering, like, how long does it take you to normally edit like something for a client?
Oh, it can depend on maybe like a week to 2 weeks or more. Um,
Okay.
Now keep in mind that that's not like every single day nonstop.
Yeah.
Like a machine. Sometimes you do as an editor. I don't know if you've experienced this, but you get in sort of this editing high, where
Yeah.
you kind of
Oh
are
yeah.
like
Trust me.
laser focused in it, and you almost become like obsessed, where you want to make sure it's just right, or the scene doesn't look right, or I don't like how the shadows look here, and
Yeah.
or the pacing of it is off, and I want to fix it. And even if you do all that, the client could still say, "I want to change this, this, and this." So
Mm-hmm.
there's
And
that.
and
Well, it's also important in the contract to specify, and I like doing this, the
mm-hmm.
number of passes for the video.
Yeah.
So I do about 3 to 4 passes. Otherwise, if they want, so if by the fourth video sent to the client, if and we've made all the changes that they've asked for, and they still ask for more after that, we tell them it will cost extra.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was just about to bring that up.
Hmm.
And that's very important to have that in a legally binding contract. I cannot emphasize that enough for people. And and it can be hard sometimes when you're trying to work with a client, and I guess what you're both doing isn't quite lining up, and then you kind of go past that number of drafts, so to speak. And yeah, but have you ever had something like that um happen, or have things worked out good?
Things overall have worked out good. Every now and then you get like a hiccup of something like that.
Yeah.
But we both have become better at the craft as we've gone on with each endeavor, each gig.
Yeah. So,
And
like, what
uh,
specifically attracted you both to wanting to shoot more w- wedding projects?
oh well, there's a good market for them, like weddings and stuff.
Yeah.
And um, I remember recently there's a because it's anyone could record like a wedding on someone's iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
or like a your standard smartphone device. And while those look good, those capture decent video feeds and everything, and they have 32-bit float audio.
Mm-hmm.
It is special, I believe, if the client is able to see a cinematic version of their wedding, like in like 4K or 6K, in that 2 to 1, that 2.4 to 1 ratio. as well.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to my next bunch of questions. Is that like, do you mostly shoot like all 4K projects for your clients?
Mm. Uh, it technically doesn't have to be all 4K. I mean, you always could take the footage and you can put it in like a 4K timeline and export
Yeah.
it that way, and then make it look really good too to their liking, make it look professional and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, last time I on the last wedding that we did, I shot. I had a V mount battery hooked up to the camera and an SSD drive, and it recorded the entire thing in 6K in one shot.
Wow.
Yeah, so thankfully there was no big issues or anything like that, and my trusty Blackmagic 6K Pro came in handy. And
That's cool.
I have also from my significant other learned a lot about still photography using what's called a speed light, a flash
Yeah.
bulb
Yeah,
for
and
cameras
just
and
to
stuff.
specify for people,
Because I am. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say a speed light is kind of like those big lights where it kind of pops off, like whenever you see like more professional photographers, and then you see that big flash. That's what he's referring to.
Hmm. Yeah, they're and some of those are quite pricey, but they make images look very good. And the tricks of you got to know where to balance the light, and it helps if like the ceiling is white and
Yeah,
close and all that stuff too. And I've learned a lot of the settings and what you got to do to get really great still photography because I'm so used to just capturing something that moves. So it's
yeah.
like a completely different world too. Yeah.
So, does your wife do any filming, or is that just you and she does more of like the photography stuff?
Um, if she has like a break between taking photos, because she's constantly snapping pictures of the bride and the groom,
Mm-hmm.
or the wedding people, the guests, and all that stuff. And sometimes, if she has a moment, she'll switch over to record something in Canon C-Log 3, and then make sure that that's available for me if I want to add it to the timeline somewhere. And
Yeah.
there's some great images on the camera she's got, and with well, you got to know what lens to use too, because it's weird. Some lenses will make someone look not as flattering.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when it comes to certain lighting conditions and different types of environments. My next question was more so talking about your camera gear. It's like what kind of camera gear and equipment do you typically use like for shooting wedding projects?
Um, Mostly my Blackmagic 6K Pro, but in the past I've rented from LensRentals.com
Mm-hmm.
a Sony FX3,
Oh,
sorry,
cool.
the Sony FX30.
Yeah.
Now, I know some people have made jokes or memes about those cameras, but it is a really handy, solid
Yeah.
piece to record with when it comes to just like the continuous AI follow focus. Is so good in that and very sharp and fast, and it can lock on to your subject's eye, or if you set it into what's called the zone setting,
Mm-hmm.
it will look for like the sensor in the camera itself can tell what the camera holder is trying to focus on, and it's got well, ironically S-Log 3. Like all the camera brands
Yeah.
have their own raw format, so you can get the most. And it's so cool. DaVinci Resolve keeps getting updated and has software built in where you can color grade that corresponding to what you shot it with, and then you put it all in what's called the same color grade pipeline to export it into Rec 709 so it can look normal on everyone's monitor,
Yeah. And just
everyone's
for
display.
a quick second here, I wanted to ask some people in the audience tonight, do you have any specific questions that you would like to ask Devin? Um, if so, put them down in the chat because I would like to kind of get some audience participation too. But
Mhm.
but yeah, I do agree with you, and also just letting people know when he's talking about different logs on the camera that is a technical term. That means what kind of like Kodak kind of like, and that's more like a modern Kodak for digital cameras. So just wanted to inform people and let people know like what he was referring to um in that sense. So um, next, can you kind of like walk us through your post-production process? Um, and kind of like give us kind of a idea of how you go about that.
Um, First, I like to back up all the media I get on a. I recommend Samsung SSDs,
Yeah.
um, or SanDisk makes good ones too. SanDisk thankfully fixed some of the issues and problems with their previous models, where it seemed like people would just like the drive would just not work, or it had trouble working or something like that. But the SSDs, they can be a bit more expensive, but they're faster, and they're also really good at recording right from the camera. Like if you're shooting in a certain camera that can record right to an SSD, I recommend that, especially if you have a camera cage that can hold it. So I know that's a lot of information, but I like to
Yeah.
back it up. I also use Google Drive and Dropbox if
Mm-hmm.
there are any people listening that use those. Um, Now, then with in DaVinci Resolve, there's a there is an ACES setting, like American Cinema grade setting. I haven't used that one yet, but I usually use either color managed or DaVinci YRGB. And mostly I've been lately doing using DaVinci YRGB. The color managed software portion of it is helpful, but I would only recommend doing that if like you're getting footage from someone and you know what color profile and color space they shot the footage in, and then you can just tell your software this is everything, and then it will grade it all automatically for you.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't
Hmm.
even know about that. And I know
Yeah.
for people who are tuning in, I know a lot of what Devin's talking about is very technical, and it's kind of hard to kind of like explain to people who are not like well versed in these type of like um definitions and kind of what he's referring to, but a lot of it has to do with what I said before, like different types of log files and codecs, and just more so like technical terms as far as like trying to layer and try to set up your project kind of before starting. So I know you like to use a lot of different plugins too.
Hmm. Yeah, there are a
Yeah.
couple of good plugins. Some work better than others, but yeah, always on the lookout for like a new box of transitions.
Yeah.
If you've ever have you ever like scoured the web looking for transitions you
Oh
can
yeah.
drag and drop in Final Cut? There are some great. I do have some great transitions for Final Cut, and those sometimes are they're quite good. Like I found some where it looks like an old photograph being taken, and then
Hmm.
it quickly slides away, and then it makes room for like another photograph, or one where it's like a gritty film reel. You know.
Yeah. And I used a lot of plugins too back in the day. I don't as much now just because they get kind of expensive. And so I need to kind of stock up on some more of them. But basically, what they are, just so the audience can kind of understand more of like what we're talking about here, is a plugin is kind of like a pre-made transition or a special effect that you can buy and you can kind of like adjust it in the software so it kind of cuts down on time, and it's a bit more like it just helps you get the desired effect a bit faster than just making it all digitally by hand. So um but yeah, my next question for you is like, how do you approach editing differently for like narrative filmmaking versus like stuff that you're doing right now, which is like more commercial based stuff?
Mm. Um. Uh. Who? Sometimes I try to approach a client-based project almost like a narrative too. I mean, it's helping someone else tell their story.
Yeah.
Um. Because it was about maybe a year or 2 years ago. Like a a gentleman found the studio of XD, our LLC, our company, and uh, wanted to do a video about how he survived cancer,
Oh.
and how he built his muscles back up and his body back up after almost having to say goodbye from this disease, and he just wanted to tell that story. And then he uh, took me to the gym where he trained at, like a Gold's Gym, and I just kind of filmed it like a regular interview, but I would intercut it with footage of him working out or talking to a trainer,
Mm-hmm.
or I even was able to get some stock footage, from Artlist. I have an Artlist license too,
Yeah.
and Artlist has all sorts of, like, probably a never-ending supply of all the stock footage you could need, and it even has it in the raw or log format. But if you already have it in Rec 709, you can put it in there. And
Mm-hmm.
by Rec 709, that essentially means the default color display that
Yeah.
most people see on their phones and on TVs and on screens and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just to specify more for people, there are different color spaces, and kind of like what we mean by that is like Rec 709 is like the golden standard, and now since displays are even better, they have HDR. So basically, HDR is like a more advanced version of Rec 709. So that's kind of what he's referring to there, just so people understand.
Mhm. And there is a Rec 2020 color
Yeah.
space, but most displays, as far as I'm aware, are not able to show that.
Oh yeah,
And
man.
yeah,
I've
and
um I've personally been like tackling that problem too. That's why I don't do it as much, because every time I did do it, it would show up differently on like different displays. So yeah.
yeah. hmm
Um
And
but yeah, you can
yeah.
keep elaborating.
Oh, and I didn't mention, when you mentioned gear earlier, I forgot to mention I was able to pick up these two Rode Wireless Pro lapel microphones that
Mhm.
have been very handy. Um, I recommend, though, that you turn off the timeout switch on them, because if they're too far away from the receiver, they'll power down automatically.
Oh,
So,
okay.
to anyone else out there who has that, I mean, they still are constantly. Thankfully, it's really cool. In 2025, if you get the Rode, it's called the Rode Central app. It will automatically update every so often, and there'll be new features with it. So it's cool that you don't have to take that to somewhere else. But those record in 32-bit floats, so you could have the subject talk very, very loudly, and the audio will still come through very clearly and
Mhm.
nicely.
Yeah.
It does matter where you place it. It's more difficult sometimes to mic up a bride, because they may not want the microphone showing, like, somewhere.
Yeah,
But so,
and
so sometimes if you just mic the groom, that'll be enough, because that will cover both of them. You
okay.
know.
Oh wow. So those microphones are powerful. Like just that
hmm
I know I'm actually using one right now too. I don't use the Rode wireless microphone. I actually currently have lapelled onto my shirt as I'm talking. I use the DJI mic, and it's basically the same
Nice.
thing. It's just a wireless um lapel mic. So, and I told my friend, who's also in the chat today, I was talking to him about this yesterday, that I use this mic for like all my content now. I use it for my gameplay. I use it when I like do stuff like this. I've been using it for like all my clientele stuff, and yeah, they do a fantastic job.
Yeah, and to someone like sometimes like a younger kid, like on the 48-hour film project, they've come up to me and they've asked like how I got into this or what advice I would give them. One of the first things I tell them is you don't need to have the biggest, best, most expensive camera out there.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
very
you
true.
you really don't. But so get like a good microphone too, or like a
Yeah.
good way to get audio, because two things will kill your movie, among other things, but two things: bad pacing and bad audio.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what I was talking to Jacob, my last guest on the show from last week. I was talking to him a lot about how I can tell when someone's like brand new versus someone who's doing post production and has been doing it for many, many years, is having good audio and having good flow and good structure. Like just having a good flow to your project, and that kind of leads me to my next question is so talking about your film Sugar Crash.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to ask you about this, but how long did it take you to edit that movie?
Um. Oh, that's kind of a complicated one. Let me
Hmm.
see, like 16, maybe like 2.5 years
Oh
ish.
my goodness. I had
But
no idea that,
but
that it took that long.
But see, essentially, there was a lot of stuff that happened. That was when I was still very new to all this.
Hmm.
I did not know what DaVinci Resolve Studio was. I didn't have my great camera. I didn't have like, I just had me, my cheap Nikon camera, and a Rode mic that I bought from like a music store.
Yeah.
And I just had this desire to make this one, and even in that one, there's moments where I cringe at the audio because it's ones we all make where we capture something, but the audio just does not sound good.
Hmm.
And I there are scenes where you can put like an audio engineer could probably tell I went to the actors later on and I had them re-record their lines like in their own home and then dubbed it back in.
Yeah.
And just long periods of just like taking a break and just not touching the movie, and
Hmm.
just stuff like that, and learning, because I was kind of teaching myself Final Cut Pro at the time I was making it.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
and like
there's all sorts of little tricks and things with that, and I had to the right way how to keyframe, like without buying a plugin, keyframing like a gunshot
yeah.
beneath someone. Like you duplicate a clip, you cut the subject out, and then you try to mask the muzzle flash behind someone's, just an effect like that. So I had to do what I could at the time, rebel
Yeah.
without a cause.
Exactly, and that kind of
Yeah,
and so that's the name I think of Robert Rodriguez's book.
yeah, Robert Rodriguez. Yeah,
Yeah, and he talks a lot about how his first movies before he made like stuff with like Quentin Tarantino and stuff, that he would shoot all of his projects like single-handedly, and then he would like piece them all together, which is very very cool, and just very I don't see a lot of people do that, and that's why I'm glad to kind of be talking to you about this, because it kind of seems like you did the same thing, like you were wearing many different hats just to get that project done.
oh yeah, you have to wear many different hats. You have to do it, and you have to have sort of a drive to do it. Because, and this is some I'm gonna have to quote the Film Riot guys here on YouTube. They said like, if you don't believe in your movie, no one will. And
True. Yeah.
yeah, they're right. Yeah. And you also learn a lot about yourself too, because often, because there are times like, okay, it can be fun. More than often than not, it's not fun to make a movie. But there are times
Yeah.
when you finally get it. Like Stanley Kubrick once said it can be like trying to write War and Peace in a bumper car, but
Oh
when you
yeah.
finally do, but when you finally do get it right, there are a few joys on earth that can equal the feeling. So
Hmm.
sometimes you just have to make something for you. You know, you feel like you have to tell this story. You know.
Yeah. And Devin's absolutely on point when it comes to that. Even with my current project that I just got done, Dark Encounters, I'm gonna go on a tiny tangent here, but yeah, just so for people who have not seen that short film I just released or do not know what I'm talking about, that was trapped in production hell for I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, for like maybe a little bit over 10 years. um
Oh, what?
yeah, and I can't get into all the drama, because of what happened, but a lot of it had to do with bad audio at the time. When we recorded, we didn't have as good audio gear as we do now, and a lot of it had to do with waiting for technology to get better, technically, so then we could go back and make the audio sound much better. So because a lot of it just came straight off the camera, and kind of back to what you were saying is that is it's paramount that you believe in your project, so then your confidence in what you're doing shows to everybody that's trying to help get your project done.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm glad you got to make that. You were able to release that this past kind of near this past Halloween, and
Hmm.
you shot it with like a cheap with like an old Sony camera, right?
Yeah, and I
Cool.
mean, I think it was relatively cheap. I am not like it was like dirt cheap. I think it was around like maybe like $350 at the time. So I mean, yeah, I mean, compared to a lot of cameras, and especially with how expensive cameras are nowadays, I can see how that can be a little bit more on the cheap side. But yeah, a lot of the technical problems we had with that movie was that was a lot with the audio involved, but I'm just glad to have gotten that out, and just it's kind of like what you said, like there's a lot of technical challenges that come to like trying to like make a movie or make a project, but the satisfaction you get after you're done is just monumental.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's almost feel like you have to, and sometimes the script isn't completed until the movie is finally shot, all
Yep.
done. You know,
Yep, that's
because
true.
because sometimes like an actor may say to you, "Oh, well, I want to try this in the scene, or I want to do this thing instead," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's go ahead and let's do that and see how it looks." You know,
Hmm.
um, getting looking back, it sometimes is fun to have the actors kind of improv or be like, "Okay, here's the scene. I want you all to like argue about this thing," you know, something
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah. Well, my next question I have for you is like, what kind of stories, like, depending on what type of films you like want to make, like, what type of stories or themes do you personally um gravitate towards? So like if you were going to make a new movie, like what type of stories are kind of like your go-to?
Mm. Yeah, I. Hmm. I've had an idea kicking around in my head for a little bit. It is about. Uh, I kind of started writing it a little while ago. It's sort of a bit of a strange thriller. I'm sort of I do sort of gravitate toward those where
Cool.
it's I wanted it to be like about a female detective who is sort of in the middle of a rut. She's at a spot in her career where she just feels a bit useless, and someone comes to her with a case where they try to find out about why this Christian children's television show was canceled, and they don't know why, and everyone involved completely washed their hands of it. And she tries to investigate what happened. You know, I'd like to make like a movie about that where it's like an unexplained disappearance type movie. You know, one of those.
Hmm. And it seems like you're very attracted to like film noir type of styles, because a lot
Yeah.
in your last movie called Sugar Crash is it's very like film noir style where it's very dark and contrasty and it's very much like an old detective movie, and it seems like those are kind of your go-tos.
Yeah, something like that. Or with that, I was inspired by, of course, I've mentioned it before, like Drive
Hmm.
and Nightcrawler, and this is also kind of neo noir, like Chinatown, that
Oh
movie,
yeah.
the Jack Nicholson movie. But Breaking Bad, that the popular show, like so well done. That's one of the best
Hmm.
shows ever. That is like a neo western in a way, and
Yeah.
sometimes there would be elements of that, like a crime drama type thing, where it's a guy who you sympathize with at first, and then he starts to do some really bad things, and then you question like, oh, should I be rooting for this guy? I don't know, stuff like that, and they and with Drive, it's like a getaway driver who, and just visually and through the editing and the cinematography, it's shown that he wants out of the criminal world and wants to just be like a family person almost,
Hmm.
you know. But that's impossible with his profession and the people that he knows.
True,
So
true.
yeah, yeah. So that stuff is kind of cool, and it's almost like a minimalist style of storytelling, kind of like There Will Be Blood, also.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so cool that you're so interested in that because you know this, and a lot of people who know me
Mhm.
know this about me.
Though, yeah. I remember my mother once said, next time maybe you could make a happy movie.
Yeah.
And one of the better, I guess, happy movies that I was a part of, or like it's not really a movie, it's like a short. It was called Conspirating, and it was by a friend of mine named
Oh, cool.
James Crouchet, and it
Yes,
was
I know
one where
him.
yeah, where he's a big action film fan and stuff, and also is the lead in Sugar Crash, of course, too. But he was in the Air Force for a while, also.
Oh, cool.
There was yeah, he also just he completed a movie of his called Lost Phoenix a while ago, where I did not help write it or anything like that, but I was like co DP for on about 5 nights of the shoot for that.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was following along with that film's progress too. I'm so glad he got it done.
Yeah, he got it in festivals and was able to win some awards, and even was able to get a Game Boy Color game made about the movie.
Oh my goodness. Wow,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Uh-huh.
Wow. But kind of talking more about how you love like old film noir, like did that stem from like earlier on like in your life when you were a kid, or like what made you kind of like more interested in that subgenre?
Mhm. Um, those kind of stories did help when I was younger. I liked like like the Lethal Weapon movies, or the Batman the animated series cartoons.
Hmm.
Ironically enough, today, November 10th, this is the day we lost Kevin Conroy.
Oh wow. I had
Yeah,
no
may he
idea.
rest. Yeah, may he rest in peace. There's so much I didn't know about him, and he voiced the Cape Crusader for such a long time.
Yeah, yeah, he
Um,
did.
yeah, him and Mark Hamill. Huh.
Hmm.
Um, anyway, so okay, that, and also back in 2009, The Dark Knight came out, and I really loved that. That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
I know it's not a very hot take to say that, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
since The Dark Knight is, I think that's like one of my top five favorite films
mhm.
too.
Yeah, that I remember being in the theater with my brother and my friend Michael Peel, and also these other guys I've known for so long, and we saw that, and after it was over, I had wished that I could rewind the movie and watch it again.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
you know,
I
it's
did
it's one
too.
of those things where a movie does live up to all the hype around it, and plus, the unfortunate loss of Heath Ledger in it
Hmm.
too. But just the
Yes.
fact that it was like a 4 act structure too, and before those like that and Batman Begins, I didn't know who Christopher Nolan was. You know.
Yeah, I think that was very stereotypical for a lot of people that they really didn't know who Christopher Nolan was until that movie came out. Um, I did know who he was like beforehand. I don't know how I like. found his movies, but but if you haven't watched a lot of his earlier stuff, guys, definitely go check it out. Like he made Memento. He made a movie called Prestige, which is about
Oh,
magic and stuff like that. He made movie called,
Insomnia.
yeah, Insomnia with
Yeah, with Al Pacino and the late Robin Williams. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mhm.
he made a whole bunch of stuff before he made Batman, but then once he made Batman, that's when like everyone knew him. So
Mhm.
um but
And
yeah.
I still gotta see Oppenheimer. I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah. I think you're gonna like it. Yeah, it's got kind of like a film noir look to it. I will say though, is that I'm trying to remember what I said to my one friend after Oppenheimer came out. The one thing I knew is that it's a very loud movie, and so
Okay.
what I mean by that is because it's about Oppenheimer and he invented the nuclear bomb, and so so there are parts of it where it gets extremely loud. So just so people know that. And it's kind of like a I don't know how to describe it. It's like a biopic, but it's very like um it's just kind of slow paced. So just know that going into it, it's kind of a slow movie sometimes.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah. All right. Well, my next question has to do with like how did you meet all these people like in the industry, and how important do you think networking is um to getting your film career started?
Oh, well, networking is obviously very important. There's all sorts of groups on Instagram and Facebook, and even for wedding photographers and cinematographers, you can find groups on that. Um, Meetup.com is Meetup.com still a thing?
I've
That would
no I
yeah.
think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still around. I remember I went on there for a few jobs once. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
so.
Um, when I was at UNCW, the professors would send emails when they heard about, oh, there's this little production and they're making something and they need extras or they need crew people to help out.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, go ahead and go if you want to be a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think another piece of advice I would just toss in there for any newcomers that want to get kind of their film career started is that just start with the people that you know. Like I can't tell you guys how many like backyard shot home movies I made with my friends like around the neighborhood. And so that's how I started, was just gathering all my friends, and like we would shoot like a bunch of different like backyard home movies. We'd shoot stuff around the neighborhood, or like or at my house, and we would shoot like B movie horror movies. We would shoot action movies. We would shoot sci-fi movies. And I think like just starting that way, and just people will see like what you're doing over time, and then as you grow older, people will kind of know you for like all the films that you've been doing for a long time. So yeah.
Hmm.
but
Definitely.
but did you shoot like a lot of like home movies too, because it sounded like you did?
I did with my two brothers and I. So of course we would do the mischievous things, and we'd get like a camera and then um, film like us with like cap guns or you
Yeah.
know talking about crazy stuff or like um, I take like the camera out in the woods and try to get like a stylish shot of rain hitting a tree or something like that. Just I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, whatever
Yeah.
things back in the day.
And that's kind of going back to my point, is that if you really want to get started as a filmmaker, my just that our I think our honest best advice for newcomers is just go out and start gathering all your friends together and just start making your own short films.
But if you can't pay people, you at least have to feed them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
bring bring food, water, snacks, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. And it's so awesome to talk to somebody who kind of has had that same timeline, like as far as your career goes, like, um, and just, just another point is that you don't have to script out your films as much, like when you're first starting. I don't know about you, but a lot of my movies were just like all improv. And I kind of noticed that with a lot of people in film is like when they started out, they didn't take the time to like write out a whole script, or they would just gather their friends and go out in the backyard, or they would just shoot stuff kind of randomly and then try to like piece things together that way.
um and if any of your viewers have heard of the 48-hour film project in Virginia, that's a good way to meet people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people there, but admittedly, sometimes when you join one of those, like I've been on one of them too, where you join one and there isn't really a script, just the director comes out and he writes these ideas that he has for what he wants to do on like a whiteboard, and
Hmm.
like that's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings me to another great question, is that I know you've done a couple of those.
Mhm.
What's your advice for people who want to like participate in like a film contest or a film, um, fe- festival type thing?
Ah, well, for the Richmond 48, yeah, it was terrible the first time. I did it and tried to lead it. Of course, this was a long time ago, but I've gotten much better since then. Essentially, the big mistake I've seen people make is that they have too many actors on set. They have the story is too big. There's too much stuff going on. They need to keep it short and sweet and
Yeah.
simple. And
Yeah.
sometimes your movie can be really good if there's no dialogue in it at all, except for the one, because every 48-hour film project, you're required to at least have one line, and it has to be like a very specific line in it.
Hmm.
Like you may or may not like the consequences, something like that. And
Yeah.
so you could just have that one line, and the rest of it is just told visually with music or something.
Exactly. And so I
Mhm.
actually did a couple of those too, but the one where I did win is when I moved out to,
Oh, congrats.
yes, thank you. I moved out to Michigan for a short time in my life. I was dating a girl out there. And so for me to kind of like branch out and get to know people up there in Detroit was I got up on meetup.com, like you said before. And I also entered the 48-hour film project up there. And so for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, what that means is that you have to make a short film within 48 hours. So so what ended up happening was I did it, and we won the project and we won the competition. But then I had to come back home to Virginia pretty much the day of. So I didn't get to go to like the huge like ceremony, but I just felt good that the team I was on did win the um we did win the contest. So
Great, yeah. It's been a while because I've helped out. Like this past year, I actually helped out with one, but I've not been able to attend the premieres yet. And I'd like to go to one in the future when if time and family allows it. So
yeah, do you think you're gonna do a do you think you'll do it uh, again?
um, I I think so because there is just something kind of fun and almost this idea of camaraderie around it that I do like, the process and everything. And I know it's weird. I know some people don't like it. They they're tired of it, but I've just always liked the process and the challenge of getting together and trying to create something. Rarely do I am I in the writing room on these. I usually am asked if I'd be the DP or the editor for it.
Yeah,
or
And
bring
I
lights.
and I was trying to remember what part I played in when I was doing the 48-hour film festival in Detroit. I think I was editing the movie. Yeah. Um but for the last one you did, were you like filming it, or what job did they give you?
Um, I showed up to it. The last one, things went quite smoothly on it, so there was nothing really big or bad happened. Like no big accidents or anything like that. Um, I showed up with my mostly I was asked to edit on it, but I know that the DP that was there, this guy named Robert, he shot on the same camera that I have, the Blackmagic 6K Pro. So
Mm-hmm.
I brought that camera, and we were able in like a couple brief scenes to do a two camera setup.
Okay.
Yeah, so that saved some time too, and I was able to. It's easy to match the color space like the colors in post production on both of those
Yeah, yeah.
because they both shoot Blackmagic RAW
Yeah,
or
it definitely
ProRes.
is a lot easier when you're gonna be shooting with the same
Hmm.
with the same type of cameras, kind of. So, um, my next question is what piece of filmmaking or editing equipment could you absolutely not live without?
Oh, huh. I I kind of want to say it's a tie between DaVinci Resolve and also Soundly.
Okay.
Soundly I like a lot. It
Um,
has it has a massive library of sound effects and music, and also a you can create AI voices from it too.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next question is that I know this wasn't on the list that we had, but talking about AI, Coca-Cola guys just came out with an all new commercial that was entirely done by AI, like if you don't know, and it's been very controversial. And so talking about that, and I also talked about this on the last podcast last week, is that AI right now is very divisive. Some people are all for it and think it's so cool, and then there are people who are like, it's kind of like starting to take away jobs from professionals. I was just so curious, and I was wondering, how do you feel about AI?
Hmm. My thoughts on AI, I think, are a little complicated. There are some things
Yeah.
I like about it, some things I don't, and it's very nuanced take. I heard, is this a new AI Coca-Cola commercial, or
Yeah. Yeah.
is
So
this the
like
only one that has been done?
I think they attempted it last year, but then people protested, and then they did
Oh,
it successfully this year, and it just dropped.
all right. I'm sure it's okay. It's just, I mean, if you're Coca-Cola, you could just pay an artist to render it and create it for you.
Yeah, but I would say that the reason why they did do it was to see how much of a cost savings that they would
Yeah,
make,
a cost
and
savings thing for it.
yeah, and so that's why they tried doing it. I thought it was okay. Like I didn't think it was bad. It didn't look bad. I can tell that they definitely took their time with the
Mhm.
AI prompts. Um, but that kind of leads me to my next question is that um, are you starting to feel like AI will like take part of like what you're doing, like whether it's clientele stuff or even film? Like, do you think there will become a point where you think that for you as a professional who's been doing this for years, thinks that AI will kind of start to uh, become more of a thing that will take over your job?
Mm. I'm not super worried about it taking away a possible job. It might take an aspect of it, but still, I like to believe out there that there are clients who are looking for to have their, a person create their
Hmm.
story, their video, and not just a computer. Um,
Yeah, and that's how
for,
I
for,
feel
for something
too.
for something to have sort of that authentic, like, human touch to it. Like, people still prefer to talk to representatives on a telephone rather than an AI voice that can barely
True,
understand them.
true.
Stuff
That's
like
so
that.
true. And I can't tell you how many times where I have called up a company or something and then I just get hit with like the automatic call, like AI robot responses, and I'm like the whole time I'm like I just want to speak to a person. So, and I think that's very true, and I think people don't talk about that side of it enough. I know people are kind of scared right now, especially people in the industry who are feeling like their livelihoods and their dedication to learning the craft are kind of like being kind of like on the chopping block compared to like how fast AI can get stuff done. But I think at the end of the day, I think people will put more trust into having a project done by a person compared to like
Mhm.
a compared to like a prompt or a computer. Um,
Yeah.
but I also wanted to kind of wrap things up here and kind of talk about our favorite film genres. I know we've been kind of talking about how you like film noir, and you know I love old black and white films. But let's go through and talk some of our favorite genres.
Um, I do like action and noir, like Die Hard, of course. I love that movie. Um, and my number one favorite movie though is actually Seven, the gritty,
Yeah,
twisted crime thriller.
yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites too.
Yeah, it's just the way that I've enjoyed a lot of David Fincher's work, whether it's that or Fight Club or like he did The Social Network and Gone Girl. Just his cool color palette and the way that he allows the camera to have this omniscience to it, and he shows like cold, dark, emotional scenarios and things like that. And I've gravitated towards stories like that.
Yeah, and I gravitate towards a lot of that stuff too. I like a lot of like dark, moody environments as well. Like I enjoy a lot of Tim Burton films and that whole atmosphere. And as you all know, I love horror movies and just exploring that whole genre. It's more about exploring like what the human mind is kind of scared of, and that's kind of what I like about horror. Not so much like about the blood or the gore. It's more about the psychological part that I've always enjoyed too. But um, I do see that kind of like darkness in your films, very identical to mine. But if you could pick like one genre in particular that is like your go-to.
Mm. I guess crime thriller.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, guys. Well, I just want to thank everyone who came here tonight. I know we're kind of like trying to wrap things up here, but I just want to give a big thanks to so many of you who tuned in, and I want to thank my good friend Devon, of course, for being here. It's so great to have you on. It's so great that we have a platform that we can talk about these things.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Sure, no problem, guys. All right, I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you all have a fantastic night.
All right. You too. Good night.